Thank you for joining me. I'm Ronnie. I'm the CEO of Click2, and I'll try in this very short time to help you plan your camp, and mainly to recreate your magic from your regular camp, your traditional camp, to the virtual world. So before we're going to start, now you already have the confidence that it's possible just because Aaron Adley already told you about his amazing experience. And I want to ask 4 volunteers to help me design our camp for today. So if you can raise your hand on the toolbar on the bottom line of your screen, Guy, my wonderful helper, will give you permission to show yourself on camera. So I have 1 volunteer. Come on, don't be shy. I need 4. It's not going to be long. I just need you to tell me how many hours a day you're going to run, what are the age groups, and what are the size groups that you're hoping for. So it's actually, to help us all design the camp today. So I have 3 people already. Amazing. And I see here that Rosemary even started her camera. Okay, 2 more. If you see that your camera has become yellow instead of gray, it means you can click on it on the bottom line of your screen. Great. Hi, Karen. Thank you for joining. 2 more, quickly. Okay, amazing. Girl power, I see. So hi, Amanda. Okay, so Rosemary, you're gonna be volunteer number 1, okay? And Karen, you're gonna be volunteer number 2. And Amanda, you're gonna be volunteer number 3. And if we'll have someone else joining us, that would be great. And if not, 3 is enough. Okay, let me reset our activity. Guy, feel free to jump in. Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so I don't want you to cheat and get everyone else's answers from the previous session. Great, wonderful. Okay, so if you click on the A, okay, in the toolbar on the top, and make sure to choose the thickest huge size on the right side, you'll be able to answer the question. So if you can put in the day structure based on your location, who I assigned, if you can put in your day, it's easier if you click on the A and do it as a text and not as a brush, just easier to write. Oh, okay. And so if you can do in the day structure, so how many hours a day are you going to do, how you want it to look like, what is the age range of the campers for your virtual program, and the group size. So how many campers ideally would you want to put in one group? So if you can please start and just write it down. You can keep it, short, just so I'll have some reference. So feel free. Oh, wait, here we go. Now you can write. I'm sorry, I didn't. Now you can all write, so if you can just put in the text. You see the whiteboard? What do you mean, Karen? Okay, I see. Good. So 2 hours daily, 3 days a week. Okay, 4 to 11, 5 campers in a group. 8 hours a day. Wow. Okay, good. That's impressive. Okay, I see other people are now drawing. I would have to take your permissions away, and then I won't see what they're writing. So that would be very sad. Okay, so I'm missing 1 answer. Okay. Who am I missing? Stop. Okay, so we're going to do 2 just because I see people are drawing. Okay, so I would ask you to choose between 2 hours daily, 3 days a week, to 8 hours daily, 5 days a week. Okay, the age range is 5 to 10 or 4 to 11, and the group size is either 2 campers or 5 campers in a group. So if you can, okay, so it's either 2 or 3. Okay, if you can please, I'm gonna ask you to choose. I'll give you the numbers. Okay, just vote please now. Which camp is more similar to what you do? I'm sorry, I know there's 4 answers, but just choose between 2 and 3. Okay, go ahead, vote now. If you feel like your camp is going to be more like 5 days a week, full day, or more a couple of hours, couple of days a week. Okay, I have 24 people. Come on, come on, come on. You're nearly there, nearly there. It's a tie, nearly a tie. Okay, everyone has voted. Okay, I'm going to stop and share so you can see. Not everyone have voted, but 24 people said that it's going to look more like 2 hours a day, a couple of days a week, and about 13 people said it's going to be a full day, 5 days a week. Okay, so in order for us to plan our camp, I want to show you what we had in mind going into ours. Thank you for the volunteers. I appreciate it. So what we have in mind, okay, I think everyone, when they're going virtually, they have a lot of doubts and questions and, hesitation. What would parents would say? Can I keep my my campers engaged? What do I pay? Do I charge? What do I do with staff? What kind of content will work? And I'll try to give as much time as possible for questions and answer it the best I can. Guy, thank you. And so when I started planning, so I decided to go and plan a camp yesterday, okay, to, especially for this event, I called it my test camp. And I tried to have in mind how would I create, the traditional camp experience in the virtual world. So I think what's important is to keep it as similar as possible to what we usually do. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and I'll show you what I designed in my platform. You can choose whatever platform you want, okay, and I'm obviously going to use Click-to just because that's my platform, and I'll show you how I designed my camp. And Guy, if there are any important questions, you can stop me and I'll come back, okay? So here's my camp. I'm going to go straight to the beginning. So if I said that I want my campers, to feel the real camp experience, the first thing I did in my settings, of course, to give it a name, but to put my logo and to put my camp photos and to try and create, when you send out emails or when you upload photos to your Facebook page or whatever you do marketing-wise, to try and give it the feel of your regular camp. So, they are meeting the same people that are used to. There's like a sense of community, that they're coming to something that is familiar. The second step was to create my spaces. So where will my kids go? My campers will go to have their activities. So I have my camper lounge, and I have a flagpole, and I have a theater, and I usually, my groups are by color. So I have like the yellow room and the orange room. So I'm trying to create the atmosphere to be as similar as possible to my regular camp. So that's what I did with my camp spaces. Okay, and then I designed my activities. So I know a lot of you said that you're just going to have a couple of days a week, few activities a day, and I'm going to recommend doing something that is more consistent, that will create some obligation for the campers, and that will get them coming back day after day. But either way, if you want to do it in like a more hybrid model, if you want to do it on a daily based structure, I would create the activities based on what the campers already know. So I would have arts and crafts, and I would have dance, and I would have science, and I will have my staff meetings, and I also created an open house. I'm trying to create an experience that would be similar as possible to the traditional in-person camp experience. Okay, and so after I did all of that, and I created my groups and my campers, I created my day. So as I said, I wanted to have a full day, okay, but you can definitely decide to do something that would be shorter. And the way it's going to look like eventually, I would have all of my groups. Okay, this is the open house. It's not very exciting, but I would have all my groups. And if you ask me about my vision, how I imagine my camp, if I'm trying to create it to be as similar possible, to my in-person camp, I will try to give them the experience of like a large gathering, and I will try to give them the experience of intimate like group or bunk. I will try to give them a highlight activity, like bring in a vendor. So I'm working on Click-to. So in Click-to, we have our marketplace, and I can book an activity. But I'm sure all of you have your camp vendors that you book year after year, and you want to support them, so you can invite them to your camp. So the way I designed my camp was with a morning gathering, so something big to show your camp traditions, your camp songs, your cheers in the morning. And then I did just, electives. And so you see 2 of my groups are doing dance and another 2 are doing science. Everyone are having their break in the camper lounge, so I want them to be able to interact in their break as well if they want to. And then I have another elective, so the first 2 groups now are doing science, and then the second are doing dance. And then I have a magic show. So if you are doing just a couple of days a week, not every day, I would do like a day that is always your day of special events. Even if you do a regular like full week, I would do every Thursday afternoon or every Thursday morning a color war or escape room experience or a magic show, or to bring a song later, something that would create like, how, in your regular day camp, you have we have on every Wednesday we have a special event. So I would try and maintain that tradition. And at the end of the day, I would do some group time. So usually I would do the group time in the morning, but I think it's important at the end of the day to let them process and talk and say, you know, whatever is important for them. So if we're talking about, you know, about the virtual world and we want to have a camp, you know, that is similar to what we do, I also want to show you when I say I adjusted my program to the virtual world, how does it look like? Okay. So I did prepare a video, okay, because we said, okay, we're going to do our dance experience, okay, because it's important for us to give that experience. And I want to see, I asked my staff, so I went to them and was like, okay, we're going to run a dance activity just like every summer. How can you do it, you know, attractive and engaging in the virtual world? What can you add that you're not necessarily going to have when you will run your regular activity? So that's how it looked like. I'm not gonna show the full video. I'm gonna take you to the interesting part. Also, all of our videos are available on the Click to toolbox. It's an open source, or you can also look us on YouTube and find all of these materials. So another thing that we would always, you know, that we would need to talk about is our staff. Okay, so. So we want to train our staff, okay? So when I showed you that wonderful the cloud that we created, so obviously, and I think that's what I get the most when people are, you know, asking me about camp, is how do I keep my campers engaged? So before I'll show you what we're doing with our staff and some tips that Liron has gathered, I'm going to say I think the most important thing is to create a dedicated day or two of camp for your staff, okay? It's important for them to go through the day, to let them, you know, experience it from the camper's point of view, to see what is possible and impossible, to see what are the challenges. It's gonna make them it's just gonna help them do better on the virtual platform. So I highly recommend that. So if we're talking about how to keep our campers engaged, I think, you know, the main challenges is, you know, sometimes they leave or they stay with the microphone, things are not working, and it's very easy for them to find other things to do as they are in their own homes. And so I'm going to show you what Liron has recommended, you know, for you to do with your campers in order to keep them engaged. And then I'm going to, you know, just touch the, you know, the setup of the rooms and some of the camp environment. And then I'll take all of your questions because I'm sure that's the most important part. So here's how Liron recommend you to keep your campers engaged. So the last thing I wanted to say, so if we discuss how to plan your camp to show your real, you know, camp traditions and your regular camp, and we want it to be as similar as possible. And then we talk about how to adjust the program and how to train our staff to work in the virtual world. I think what will wrap it up eventually is the space we're at. So Guy, I'm going to show a photo of the video. I'm not going to show the entire video, but you can again find it on our website. So things that you can do virtually that you can't necessarily do in person or always do in person is to create a bonfire in your virtual room, is to take your kids on a virtual tour somewhere very far from where you are. So I think it's important to create that atmosphere, to create that, you know, togetherness for your camper to really feel like you're part of something familiar and a part of a community. And eventually it can create a full experience, a whole experience for your campers. So those were my tips and how we did things. And I'm going to take all of your questions now. And I hope I, you know, can answer them all. So I'm going to start with Karen, who's asking, how do you balance families with multiple children in different groups? So, so that's a good question, definitely. So it really depends on how you work. And I think today I know Click2, but I think most platforms are available on different kind of machines. So you have two ways to do it, if you ask me. Either you can, you know, ask campers to join from their phone, from the iPad, from the computer, if they have several computers at home or devices. Another thing that you can do is to do a hybrid session. So to decide that campers from, I don't know, 3rd to 5th grade are going to do in person, but 6th and 7th are going to, you know, do virtual, and then switch, do morning sessions. Do morning sessions for the younger kids, and then an afternoon session for the older kids, and then they can use the same device. I know it's not necessarily a perfect solution, but I think that's the best you can get. And eventually, the virtual world does come with some, you know, restrictions and limitations. But I think either, you know, to make sure that you work with a platform that can run on multiple devices, or to do like a morning thing for the younger kids and afternoon for the older, and try to do like a hybrid model. I think that's how I would do it with my groups. Okay, next question. So, okay, so Christine is asking, how did you do open house virtually? So pretty much kind of what we're doing here now. So an open house, when you do it virtually, would look more like a webinar and less like, you know, an interactive session. I would upload all my videos like I did here with the daily schedule that I'm not even sure if I showed. I think I did show it in the beginning. I can show it again. And all the information that they really need. I don't know why I can never find my daily schedule, but I'm sure you will and put it up. So thank you. Sorry, not very good with the technology apparently. So yeah, so I'm running. So we have a big idea running tech camps, and we are starting on June 29th in New York, and we're running an open house next weeks to families. What we're going to do is we're going to have everyone in kind of a webinar setting where they can ask questions. I'm going to have all my videos to show them how the camper experience is going to look like, what they're going to see, how it's going to look like. And the camp director will explain more about the communication and everything that is important for the campers, security, safety, insurance, you know, things that parents care about. And then we're going to open it for a Q&A. So it's not as interactive as a regular open house, but I think the more materials that you're going to have ready for those sessions, for those open houses, the better. I'm also going to invite Liron, that you saw in our videos, to join me, because she was the coordinator of our program in Israel, and she can explain more in depth about our activities and how she dealt with the staff and, you know, other training and educational related questions. So that's what we're planning on an open house, and I really hope it's going to be great. So that was the question I just answered, sorry. Okay, so someone is asking about our counselors, if they check in with the campers throughout the day, even when they're doing a pre-recorded session. So I'm gonna say basically that what we do, we run live programs. And again, this whole virtual world, whatever is working for me might work for you. You might need to adjust. So you need to try and give everything a shot as much as you can, and then see what works best. But you need to think it's just like regular camp, okay? Counselors should keep attendance. They should know what our campers are doing. They should have some kind of a protocol of, let's say, if you start, if you show them something, so to check in and say, okay, who finished, who did, whatever, raise your hand if, whatever, like, I don't know, it depends on the activity that you do that is recorded, but I would definitely check in to see what the campers are doing. I think it's also important for the parents to know that the kids are, you know, supervised, even if it's recorded. So I would definitely check in and out. I would also say, if you already brought in like the supervision issue, that when I work on my platform, and I think it's important to say, I can see a live schedule, okay? And I can see all of my activities to see where my camper is at every single moment. And I think the biggest advantage of the virtual world is that, let's say in regular times, in your regular camp, if you need to go from your office to the pool, it takes you 10 minutes to walk there. And then they ask you to come to the cheder ochel, or like to the dining room, it takes another 10 minutes. And then someone is in the gate and you have to go there, and that takes forever. When you do it virtually, it's very easy to supervise. You can get to a space in a matter of seconds. You just click on it and you're there. So I think it's something like an advantage that we need to remember of the virtual activities. Okay, I'm going to take the next question. Okay, so what is the length duration of most of your live content activities? That's a good question. So what I do, Guy can put the schedule again. But I would say usually when I do an activity that is with many campers, like the morning gathering, I would do 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, you know, kind of like what we did in the plenary, just because it's really hard when you have like 100 campers at one space to keep them all engaged and to give them all permission. So you just do like a fun cheer or a song or a dance that one group is showing, or a skit, and then you move on. When you do a small group activity, I would do 45 minutes to an hour is definitely working. I think you can even do an hour and 15 minutes. Really depends on what you usually do. But we do our our workshops, our electives are about an hour long, and then we give a small break. I can tell you that most of our campers, when we run our camps in March, they decided to stay in during the break and, just chat and, continue working on things that they did. So, you can give them challenges to try on the break in different, electives or areas. So, so with these activities, I would do about an hour. And then if you bring in a vendor or if you bring in like a highlight activity, it also can be 45 minutes to an hour. And again, you can speak to the vendor and see what do they recommend. I think that if you bring something like a magic show, it's easier maybe to watch. It really depends on the activity, but I wouldn't go over an hour 15 minutes at one time, like straight. So that's fine. Okay, next question. With my programming, finding the hardest part, science crafts, okay, that I want things that, sorry, it's hard for me to see the question, sorry. Don't make huge mess for the parents. Okay, so that's a very valid point, that you don't want the kids to do a mess when they are working. So I can say that we did a lot of origami with the kids, and it's important also, like the video that we showed of the theater. So we have a video about arts and crafts where we make sure that the counselor will log in with 2 cameras, okay? So you can, with one camera, you see the counselor, with the other, you see their hands, so you can always see what they're doing. So that's important. So I would say I would do research. I sent my staff to do research of what would be the things that will have the least equipment, or that the equipment is like papers and pens and nothing that is like, too messy. But again, I think eventually families, they want their kids to have a fun experience, even if that means mess. And we also need to remember that, the families are hard, and some of them would love it, and some of them would say you don't make enough mess. Some would say it's too messy. So you just need to kind of trust your guts and go with your specialist and what they're recommending, and do a thorough research. And I think, it's definitely possible to do it with a minimum mess if needed. Okay, great. If I can explain more about our marketplace and content providers. So again, this is Click2. This is the platform that we work in, and we have our fair, our live marketplace, where you can book directly from the platform activities, tours, museum tours. We have a buddy drummer, we have a challenge island, we have esports, and different activities. And you do it directly. They have a calendar. You can book it to whenever you need a vendor. They would say for how many campers it's suitable, what are the times, how much does it cost, and you pay directly to them. But I know from many camps that I'm working with that a lot of the vendors that are running, every summer, a lot of them are offering virtual activities, and you can probably just reach out to them and see what are their summer plans. And so, yeah, so you can just join and ask them to join your camp. Just send them a link. And again, if you want to learn more about the different features that Click2 have to offer, I'll show you a link at the end, and you can find out anything you want about how we do it. Okay, can you tell us more about the platform? Okay, so the Click2Camp platform allow a camper to join with just one link. I think that's the magic, really. The simplest you make it for the camper, the better. They can see their photos, and you can change the photos as you go. So after the second or third day of camp, you can put photos of your actual campers from the virtual sessions, and they can see themselves, and it's really fun. I think what we're trying to create with our platform is a very engaging and personal experience for the campers. And again, I don't want to go into depth too much, but really I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a link at the end so you can schedule a meeting if you want to hear more. For sure, we'll be happy, to discuss it. How many camps does Click2 expect to enroll? So Click2 is a platform. It's not a camp. We're just offering other camps to work on this platform. But I can say that in other camps, I think the average that I hear is about 50 campers a week. Some are doing full summer, some are doing 2 weeks, but I would say 50 campers per 6 weeks would be the average. I have camps that are planning on 300 campers per week for 8 weeks, and I have campers that are doing just 20 kids per week for 5. So it really differs, but really depends on what you do on your regular camps and what kind of a hybrid model do you offer, if at all. I think that if you do more in person, you can do less online, or you can mix them up. And I also think, I just talked to one of our partners, and I think that more we go into summer, more parents would want some virtual experience for their kids when they learn that it's not that easy to keep them engaged at home and not going crazy. So yeah. Okay. What is the security on our site? So again, as I said, you get a camper link. This is the link that you use to join us. 2 people cannot use the same link, so a camper cannot just forward this link to anyone else. Also, Karen can say, because when she jumped into this meeting when Guy and I were talking, we can kick out whoever is not supposed to be here. So it's very, very secured. So there's no way someone can jump just in. It's not like an open link. It's a dedicated personal link based on the ID of the camper. What else? Okay, do you offer a camper T-shirt? That's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. So I want to talk a bit about marketing, because I get that a lot. And I think definitely order your camp shirts. I think it's amazing. It's important, even for the future. So for next summer, so you'll have photos with the T-shirt saying 2020. So you'll see there's some kind of continuity to your camp and to your program. And I also think it's wonderful for marketing. I would send, not even for the group photos that you want to do, at some point in the summer. I think when someone signs up, they should get a T-shirt with like their camp logo and the year, and you should, of course, with like parents' consent, put it on your Facebook page, send it out in a newsletter. A kid would see another friend from camp wearing his camp shirt. He's already set to go. That will encourage more campers to sign up. That will encourage them, to be part of your program. It will make it real. I'm a big fan of camp shirts. I always spend hours deciding what would be our colors for the summer. So definitely, I would do camp shirts, and I will get as many photos as I can, with kids wearing photos. How much camps are charging for their camps? So I would say it varies from one camp to another. I think the average is somewhere between $100 to $200 per week. Really depends on the program. I can tell you we're running tech camps, and we charge $225 per week. But I know of other camps that are charging just $100 per camper per week. I think it depends on what do you offer. So how intensive is the program? Who are your specialists? What platform are you using? What experience are you offering? And based on that, you can know how much you want to charge. I would create, a budget, based on, how many staff members you're gonna have per camp, per group. I would definitely do at least one staff member over 7 kids-ish. So if you will communicate to your families with confidence that you're investing in your staff and the program and the platform to create an experience that is just like, or not just like because it's different, but as good as your in-person experience, they will pay. And I think also that families, that parents, they appreciate more something that they paid for. That's just, again, what I think. Obviously, everyone has their own agenda, and it gets them to commit more to the program, and I think it's important. Okay, so we have curious about whether these are free programs or they cost to the participants. So I think Aaron mentioned something about being about having, in the beginning, you started with like some free activities to get, the community vibe going on. But now I think most camps the camps I speak to, they are charging for their programs. I think if you want to invest in your staff, if you want to give like a box of, arts and crafts equipment and stuff delivered to your campers, and really if you want to, I think it is okay, more than okay, to charge your campers for the experience that they're getting. I think it's also get them more committed, and I think they appreciate the value of it, as long as, of course, you deliver a good program. I can tell you we also run big idea camps, so it's virtual tech camps. And in my US camps, we're charging about $225 per camper per week. So I think it is really okay to charge for it. So how many weeks do these camps run for? Well, again, this is something that you would need to decide based on your summer programs. I would say, I know some camps are doing an hybrid model where some of them will do a couple of weeks in person and a couple of weeks virtual. We're going to run our virtual camp for 8 weeks, and we're going to change the content on a weekly basis. So different electives that they can choose from to make sure it will continue to be interesting, over a long period of time. But I definitely would recommend to run for at least 4 weeks. I would say that the average that we collected is about 4 to 5 weeks of camp. Okay, so let's see the next question. What are the advantages of using Click2 versus Google Classroom? I asked because a lot of campers trial by far at least this summer, so making financial investment initially for the platform is a risk. So I didn't want this session to become a session about Click2, even though I can talk about it for hours. And I must say that I'm not very familiar with the Google Classrooms, but I do want to say I think the most the important part is, first of all, the branding. As I said before, when a camper walks in, they see the photos, they see their names, what is their next activity, the experience with the just one link. So you can get them to go to different spaces and different activities, and it's never a problem. They have the one link, they save it to their bookmarks. And I mentioned before, that we have a variety camp running with our platform now. And kids with special needs and their families just contact us, not us, their camp director, and said, oh, it was so simple, I was sure I would have to sit there and do it with them. But no, it just gives a very smooth experience. And I think especially when you compare it and you want to make this to defer your camp from everything they know about virtual learning from the past few weeks, then I think that makes a huge difference to them. And again, if you want to learn more about Click2, I'm happy to tell you more after. I'll show you the link of how you can contact us. Where can you find these short videos? So again, with the Click2Camp platform, we have a toolbox that has videos of how to adjust your program. So with theater and dance and arts and crafts and different things to know, and more of those tips that Liron did of how to use the microphone in an engaging way, and what to do when your campers are late, how to encourage them to come on time, and how to plan your camp, marketing and such. So again, I'm going to show you the link to Click, and you can contact us and we'll send you the link to the toolbox. We're happy to share our knowledge with you. What do you generally recommend for the camper group size? Okay, so group size is very important, I agree. I think that for electives, for like activities that take 45 minutes up to an hour, that you want them to be really super engaged and to feel comfortable, to laugh and to talk. And because I think what makes a virtual program engaging is not that you mute everyone and just give them the right to talk when they have a question or when they raise their hands, but more that you can, let them interact with each other and make jokes and feel, comfortable in their space. I would say 6 campers or 8 campers would be a good number. I think more than that can be a bit, overwhelming. But then, I would always have some activity, at least once a day. I would have an activity that is, like a bigger scale, like a song leader that comes and run like a session, or a magician, or really depends on the ages of your kids. So I would try and mix it up, spend most of the day in like a smaller setup, like a smaller group, and then, once or twice a day to have something that would give you the spirit of camp that is in a larger scale. Hey, Guy, you're doing an amazing job. The same. Okay, so someone said, hey, our Market Canada day camps are now able to run in person legally. Any thoughts, needs of virtual camp going? Okay, so I will say, so as I said, a lot of camps, not people, are planning to do like a hybrid model. I can tell you that one of our camp families have reached out weeks ago and said, hey, are you going to run virtually this summer? And I said, let's hope we can run in person, because that would be amazing, no? And she said, well, even if you will run in-person camp, I won't be able to join you just because me and my husband are both in risk, and I'm not going to send my kids because I can't risk it. So I think most camps will have some kind of a virtual experience this summer. you know, just in case, to allow campers that, you know, don't want to take the risk or that live further away and the transportation is harder now. And I think there's so many challenges that it will be nice to have some alternative. Also, financially, maybe some campers can join for 2 weeks that is a little more expensive in person, but then enjoy the virtual experience, you know, several weeks or a few days a week virtually, and that would make more sense for them. That's what I think. And if you ask me, my vision is that, you know, you can do virtual interaction like year round and have holiday virtual camps and things that, you know, are going to be engaging during the year. So I think the virtual camps are a great opportunity and not just something that you have to do because of, you know, the coronavirus. Okay, so I have time for like a couple more. And so what is the absolute largest group on your youth that you recommend? So again, so we in our, and what is the ratio of camper counselors? So I always, in my in-person camp, I have a counselor for up to 7 or 8 kids, and I keep it the same, obviously, in the virtual world because that just makes sense to me. Again, what is the maximum number of campers is something that is hard to say. I highly recommend, if you have the time, and I know the time is an issue, to try and do a test run, do some kind of a pilot camp that, you know, will allow you to test it with different sizes of groups. For some activities, things might work better, might not. I think it also depends on the ages of the kids. Obviously, if you have a bunch of 16-year-olds, you can have more of them, you know, and follow instructions and, you know, and maintain themselves in the virtual world. But if you have fourth graders, it might be more difficult. So I would just play with it, do some, you know, tests. You know, we started, and some of our other camps started with asking the employees' kids to join for free for like a couple of days just to test, so you can really know that you can make mistakes and learn from it. I highly recommend doing that. Guy, I can't remember if the session ends at 1:50 or 1:55, so I'll know how many more questions I need.
You have 5 more minutes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll answer more questions then. Okay, so how many staff members do you have? So again, I said I keep it kind of like real in-person camp. So about 1 staff member for every, so 1 counselor for every 7 or 8 kids, not including my admin team that need to facilitate everything and, you know, jump in and out and help, you know, with the structure. Okay, what program do you use for voting? Okay, yeah, that's awesome, by the way. That's a great question. So I don't know if you were in our, in the ballroom when we did the plenary, but this is the virtual rooms that we're using are Unico. Unico is an Israeli startup that we chose after doing a long research when we started our camps in Israel, way before we had Click to Camp. And there's a poll option, so you can either do numbers, you can do letters, you can do yes or no. So I can say, how many of you are enjoying my session? Vote yes or no. If you're not going to be nice, I'm just going to cancel it. Good, just yeses. No, I'm kidding. That's wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to stop now because that's it's awkward. But yeah, those are things that you can do in Unico. And if you want this video that shows like how to create cool things in Unico, is also available on our toolbox, so you can get it through the Click to platform. And yeah, so what's cool about Unico is that you can also leave a lot of things in the room. It's an actual space. It's virtual, but it's actual space. So you see how I have all my videos and my slides and my photos. So it's all in here, and I will go and come back and it will stay. So it makes it very easy. Okay. What program do you use for voting? I just answered that. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not very savvy, as you can see. Looking at just 1 day a week for 5 weeks, 2 hours per day. My thoughts. So my initial thoughts are that you don't have to do it on that the platform is not as important. I think it is important to get them to sign up in advance and to commit to come those 2 times a week for just however hours you're asking. I think it is important to have some kind of structures that the kids will feel obligated to join. This is also go hand in hand with me saying that it's okay to charge your campers, just because I think when it's like an in and out kind of an experience, it's harder to create those connections between your counselors and your kids, and between the kids and themselves. So it's definitely a possibility to do like just twice a week, and it's fine, and you can make it very exciting. And, you know, when you do the marketing, highlight the counselor of that week or the special event of that week. But I would definitely make them sign up in advance to create some kind of commitment, so you won't find yourself at one activity with 2 kids and then one with 10, and something that is very, you know, unstable. Okay. Do you believe virtual camps are here to stay? I love this question, Kimberly. I think it is. I hope it is. We're counting on it, to be fair. I think when we had like a discussion with like larger organizations and some foundations, I think the best way camps can use the virtual world is really to attract those campers that cannot, if once campers would have come for like 8 weeks or 6 weeks, and now we see more campers that are coming for just 2 weeks, or, you know, maybe 4. It's a great way, you know, because it's more affordable. I think it's a way to offer other programs throughout the summer that are not as expensive, and to get kids to join you for longer time periods. And I also think the virtual space is a great space to communicate during the year and have like a year-long engagement. So I know we're definitely in Big Idea, our tech camps, we opened a new department for online camps, and we're definitely going to use it throughout the year. So yeah, I do think it's here to stay, but you know, we can never know.
Ronnie will take one more question.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the one about supervising. So what do you suggest for supervising? For supervisors would work, one supervising, watching a lot of groups and such. So first of all, in our structure, we had the admin team or a supervisor. We also had like coordinators that were in charge with just few rooms or few camp groups. And I can show you how we do it in ClickTube, but you can do it, you know, however you want in the platform that you choose to work with this summer. So the way I didn't get into it, but I'll show you. So in the live schedule, okay, those are the rooms. I'm not gonna join them because I would have to leave this conversation. But basically, our admins can join in at any time, okay, and can see the campers at all times. I think it's very important to have a list of which campers are in each space and who is the counselor. And so I think in the virtual world, it's even easier to supervise your groups. Because if you, when I was working in the Kaplan JCC on the Palisades in New Jersey, if someone called me, I was in the teen lounge and I had to get to the swimming pool ASAP, it took me 10 minutes to walk there. As soon as I got there, I was called to go to the camp office because a parent is there and there's some kind of a crisis. 2 minutes after, I had to go to the nurse's office because, I don't know, the diabetic kid needed to get some orange juice. Okay, so it took me so long to go from one place to another, where here I can always go in one click, and I would just go there. It would take me, I'm going to close it so it won't get out, but really in a second I will be there. And I think this is one of the biggest advantages that you get in the virtual world. So I think it's actually easier sometimes to supervise your camp when you're doing it online. So guys, that was my last question. So I'm just going to say we're going to end this session soon, and then it will take you automatically to there's a 10 minutes break, but after the 10 minutes break will end, it will automatically take you to your next session. If you want to reach out to me, the details in the website and ClickTube are there, and we have a team that would help you plan your camp and give you ideas and suggestions. So feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to share our experience at any time. You can just copy it from here and save it, and and we'll be happy to stay in touch. So I hope you enjoyed my session, and I hope to see you soon, all of you. Stay safe and have a great summer.